Hello, everybody. This is Rick Murray, your Realtor, doing episode number 2 on the podcast. I'm actually going to be changing up the name. It was a Real Talk, Realtor, but I think that's taken. I didn't know that, but I'm going to continue to push out content once a week, and we're going to shorten it. This one's only going to be 15 minutes, so please stick around because today I have a question. Which is harder? Being a rocket scientist or being a real estate agent or real estate broker? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to unpack some similarities to both professions. Clearly, they're very, very different, but there are some similarities, and you'll be surprised. I found that I would suggest 10% of the top producing agents out there that provide exceptional value to their clients and just sell a lot of homes, cultivate a lot of relationships, solve a lot of problems. They probably look at their profession like it was rocket science. So, what is rocket science? It's a term for aerospace engineering or astrodynamics. So, obviously it's going to require a lot of schooling, education, and the such. Why is rocket science so hard? Because everyone always says that, hey, it's not rocket science. That basically means it shouldn't be that hard because apparently rocket science is hard. Well, real estate is hard too. And all you got to do is ask any realtor out there that has gotten licensed in the past 5 years or so, and they'll tell you that they probably didn't realize how very hard it is and can be compared to just the general public. They think we get licensed, we make phone calls, we show property, we drive around in our car and talk on our cell phones and collect checks. Yeah, no, it's not. It's not like that at all. So what makes successful rocketry so difficult isn't so much the science as it is the engineering. So there's so much complex technology in a rocket that it's incredibly tough to be sure that everything's going to work. And with real estate, there's a lot of technology we need to learn. And we need to use that technology to make sure the sale is going to work, going to get to the closing table. The rocket's going to get to the moon or wherever it's going. So you'll see some similarities along the way. And I personally have been practicing my real estate brokerage from a perspective of a rocket scientist for much of my career. And it wasn't taught like that, but I came to realize that as you dissect every activity that a realtor must perform in a real estate transaction, that it is like rocket science. It is dissecting, analyzing every action that we do for the optimal outcome for not only our clients, but for us, right? So, what is being a realtor? I've got my notes here. So, real estate agents help buyers and sellers find and sell their homes, and in this role, you can work with buyers to determine their needs, their budget, find listings that meet their requirements, and assist sellers in marketing and selling their homes for the highest possible price, all that good stuff, right? Sounds easy. Well, there's pros and cons of being a realtor. What are some of the pros? So the pros are you achieve freedom. You have a flexible schedule. You do have a lot of responsibility to your client specifically. You can really build and cultivate relationships, not just with people that you know, but people that you don't know, and also people in the community, and that builds your reputation. And if you do it at a high level, you become a very highly respected and well-known pillar in the community that is coming from contribution, here to help, here to serve, here to provide value. The cons, if you don't like talking to people or cultivating relationships, you're not going to have anything to do. You're going to be bored, doing things the wrong way. So the barrier to entry for being a realtor is much, much lower than the barrier to entry of being a rocket scientist, obviously. That being said, we are always continuing our education, always learning, attending classes, seminars, doing research, watching videos, role-playing, practicing, to make sure that when we are out in the field, we are performing at an optimal level. Another con would be weird working hours. Like, let's face it, most realtors have to be available when the buyers and sellers are not working, nights, weekends. So you have to be super self-disciplined to create a schedule that is going to suit you, your family, and most importantly, your clients. And income, it's irregular income. It's commission only. There's no 401ks. There's no salary. And no taxes are taken out. So we take a lot of risk. We might take a listing and go spend 40 hours marketing and promoting it, spend $5,000, $10,000 on marketing materials and staging or what have you. And if it never sells, you never get that money back. So it's a high risk profession for sure. And with anything that's high risk, there's usually a high potential reward. So if you apply yourself, if you're a real estate broker and you apply the rocket science mentality to the real estate activities, you're going to give yourself a greater chance for success for you, for your clients, and ultimately be able to build your business like a business and not just a job. So, that being said, how do you approach your real estate career like a rocket scientist, like I've been trying to do for much of my career? So a lot of it starts with having market knowledge, having education. Let's face it, if you're a rocket scientist, you've done years and years of training and education, and you apply that in your job. And you want to make sure that you pay attention to every little detail. Much the same with real estate. You have to continually educate yourself. The market is always changing, and you need to be knowledgeable to interpret the market, because that's a lot of what we do, is interpreting the changing market conditions to our clients, giving them as much information as possible so that they can make the best and most informed decisions. Wouldn't you agree? Cultivating relationships like a pro. That might sound easy, but for many people it's not. And there's many different types of personalities on this planet. And so relationship cultivation comes easy to some, not easy to others. But if you are not great at or comfortable at building and cultivating relationships, because this is a relationship business, then you're going to have a hard time. You're going to really struggle with maintaining enough business to keep you in the business and, not have you leave and get another job. Part of that relationship cultivation is following up. So, you want to make that call that you really don't want to make. You want to make that first thing in the morning. We call that eating the frog. You want to eat the frog first and get it out of the way, and then everything else becomes easy. With relationship cultivation, I'll give you an example. I learned something early on in my career that a lot of people probably know. I should say they probably do, but they don't know they're doing it. And it's called Ford. F-O-R-D. So if you apply the Ford principle to relationship cultivation, then you're going to succeed at a higher level and faster. And it's actually really fun. And many people probably do it that don't even know it. Let's say you're at a wedding and you're sitting at a table with some people you don't know. You start to ask them questions. So you want to get curious, number one, and ask the people about their friends and their family. See if there's any commonality there. And then you lead that conversation into their occupation. Oh, well, I didn't know you knew Bob Smith. We went to high school together. What do you do for work? You start talking about their occupation. And ultimately, when you get through the occupation part, that leads to the recreation. What do you do when you're not working? And in between all of these things there can be robust conversation, rapport building, trust, genuinely liking each other. And if you can get someone to talk to you about their dreams, then we consider that to be a full circle relationship cultivation success, where rapport is built and a common bond is usually built. And who doesn't want to talk about their dreams, right? So getting people to talk, asking really powerful questions is a really big part of being a realtor. I said before, coming from contribution, I struggled with this one early on because I felt like I needed some contribution. But what that basically means is you approach each client, each relationship with the heart of how can I help you? That's coming from contribution. Learning the language of sales. As we talk to people, if you're in the sales profession, I don't care what you're selling, but there are certain things you can use in the dialogue that can benefit and help direct the conversation to a place you would like it to go. Obviously, it's got to be good for the other person and good for you. And one example I'll use is a tie down. So a tie down is when you say a statement and then you tie it down, and really the only response somebody could have is yes or no. Doesn't that make sense? Wouldn't you agree? Those are two tie downs. So the language of sales has been so important to me in my career, over 30 years of cultivating relationships, acquiring market knowledge, and providing the best value and service to my clients. The other thing is dissecting each activity that the realtors do with precision, accuracy, and intention. Kind of sounds like rocket science, doesn't it? But I'll give you an example. By the way, this is for optimal results for you and your client, but an example would be showing a house. Now, a rookie agent might just get excited about having an appointment to show a buyer a home. They call and get the instructions. They show up at the property. They'll turn the key and they open it up and say, here you go, take a look. Well, you can break down that activity to about 100-point checklist so that you do it optimally, so that, again, the clients are better served, they're getting value, and you are basically the one in control of that activity. For example, you never really want to pull your car into the property driveway. You want to pull on the street. If you ring the doorbell, make sure somebody's home or not home. You step back 5 feet so as to not to intimidate anybody. You always greet them with a smile. If you're going to give a presentation, there's protocol on how do you direct this presentation. How does it begin? How does it flow in the middle? How does it end? So when you look at the activity of showing a house or giving a presentation and you break it down with the mindset of a rocket scientist, then you will get optimal results and make sure that your client is well served and that you are well served. This is a tough business, and if you're not convincing enough people to hire you, then you're not going to earn enough money to stay in the business. So how do you do that? It's education, it's rapport building, trust building, market knowledge, and just being able to communicate that in such a way that it's genuine and authentic. And that only happens when you have the confidence of that market knowledge inside of you, and then you learn how to properly articulate that in such a way that it makes sense, and the mannerisms you use, the tie downs, the language of sales, the questions you ask, the way you listen can all have a major effect on whether or not that client is going to decide to hire you right then and there or hire someone else. So both professions make sure the client is successful. A rocket scientist, obviously, they want to make sure their company has a successful rocket launch and doesn't crash. Well, realtors want to make sure that our clients have a successful transaction. whether it be on the buy side or the selling side, we want to make sure that the client is well informed, that everything goes smoothly, that we are looked at with knowledge and respect, and we are problem solvers. I'm helping a gentleman right now buy a home, and it's a complex sale, but I am bending over backwards to make sure he has as much information as possible so that he can make every decision with intent as the decision points come. And it's a long, drawn-out, complex sale, but he complimented me the other day at how grateful he was that I was in his corner, solving all the problems that come up and helping him understand what the next process is and everything. So I've cultivated that relationship. I just met him. I never knew him. I met him at an open house about a month or two ago, and we just started talking. I started providing value to him, asking him great questions, and solving his problems. The problem was he needed to find a 3-family to own or occupy, and in a certain price range. And he showed me his criteria. He told me about his criteria. And I went on the hunt, and we ultimately found him one. So he's pretty happy about that. But whenever you hear somebody say, it's easy. Come on, it's not rocket science. That used to annoy me, but now I just smile because I know in my heart that I have applied the rocket science mentality to the real estate profession and dissect every activity to a point where it is done optimally, professionally, so that I can better serve my client. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. If I like the old Zig Ziglar said, I'll end the podcast with this quote that I first heard when I was 23 years old, just got in the business, and his famous quote is, "You can get whatever you want in life if you just help enough people get what they want." And I can't think of a better profession besides being a real estate broker to apply that quote and really help as many people as possible accomplish their real estate goals and dreams. So thank you for sticking around and listening to this podcast. Make sure you click like or subscribe, as there'll be much more content coming out. And once again, my name is Rick Murray. Don't worry, call Rick Murray. And I hope you have an awesome, powerful day. Over and out.